building a play area for my daughter for Christmas. She doesn't have anywhere out to play, so hopefully she loves it. Just trying to line up the first piece of fence. Turned out later on that the level I was using, I dropped it at some point, didn't realise, and it was out. So I ended up going back to my original level later on. So fence is square, but it's off here and there. So yeah. concrete, we didn't buy the right stuff. I bought stuff that had to be mixed in a mixer. I didn't realise that. I thought I was buying bag post stuff that you pre-mix in a hole. Unfortunately, it turned out that it was different. Worked out in the end. Yeah. Just finishing up the last panel. The first side, didn't want to stay straight, but worked out in the end. install the gate and the lock. Unfortunately, the gate was bent from factory, so I did my best to keep it straight. It turned out quite difficult. Seemed to get there in the end though. The rest of the fence went pretty well. I soon realised that the lever was bent, so I ended up switching to the old one, as I said earlier. Yeah, it made it a lot easier. This is when I realised the lever was bent. Nothing would line up correctly. It ended up getting really dark and I couldn't see what I was doing. So I ended up just knocking it together quickly with some tape and holding it together. And then when I checked it the next day with the old level, turned out I was pretty well spot on when it comes to level. And then I ended up just doing a couple little level spots, and yeah, it went together really well. This is the last stage of the fence, doing the last part of the concrete, and then I'll start leveling out the ground. The weed matting was a nightmare. I don't recommend doing it without pegs. Just about to let the synthetic turf down. As you can see, the weed matting went everywhere. Big gust of wind come in and just blew it everywhere. Unfortunately, it left wrinkles underneath, and I ended up having to fix them. So this is it finished. Start laying down some other weed matting in the corners for some pavers. Turned out really nice. When I finish laying the pavers down, I start building some garden beds, one in the corner and then a long one against the side of the shed. Turned out really good. I do plan on bordering the main pavers at the back with a bit of wood at the back as well, just to match it up with the shed door. It just makes it sort of sit better and they don't move around as much. It looks a lot nicer, so that's the plan for the future. It turned out really, really good. My daughter absolutely loves it. She can't leave the bark chips alone. I'm glad she likes it. The whole area is not square. That's why the pavers are sitting over the synthetic turf. Nothing is really square in the whole property, so I did my best to try and square it up and make it look right. So it come together in the end. So here I'm in the shed, making up the plant box that goes around the shed door. Looks really good. So I'm just finishing up the guarding edging. It seemed to be quite annoying. It wouldn't sit where I wanted it to. It ended up being a little raised near the door, but it worked out in the end. Just finishing up the planter boxes. It turned out really nice. Ended up putting a black mulch on top and then changing it later to a more natural pine. It is my daughter's play area, so the black mulch left black crap all over your hands, so I thought it might be better to make it a bit more natural. So yeah, it turned out really well. Hope you like it. Now I start building a trampoline. It actually turned out really, really easy to build, but it didn't want to sit still when I first started building, as you'll see in a minute. It just kept falling apart. I've never built a trampoline before. I thought, oh yeah, it'll be alright, I'll give it a crack, but it seemed not as easy as I thought. I started building it upside down and then I'm like, oh, it doesn't go that way. So I had to flip it back over and then it just wouldn't stay together. Yeah, so I did an alright job in the end. I ended up pausing the video and getting it to stay together. It wouldn't stay. It took a little while. Then I started putting the mat together and all the springs, but I missed a crucial stage and forgot I had to put the net on first. So I ended up putting the spring cover on and all that, and the poles, and yeah, I ended up having to pull it apart. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I put in the mulching, finishing up the garden beds. We put a couple of plants in, we've still got a couple more to buy. Thought we'd try and finish it up quickly. Yeah, so it turned out really nice. Elodie won't leave the bark chips alone, so yeah, it doesn't matter, you know, it's her play area, so she really likes it. So here's a couple of pictures of it finished. Walk around. So yeah, turned out really good. So this is me putting the spring protector on, and I realised later on that the net's got to go on first. So yeah, I had to pull it all apart again. I'm just locking down the spring cover and then starting to build the poles. I made them backwards. I meant to put the covers on first and then put the yellow knobs on top. Unfortunately, I didn't realise that till afterwards, so I struggled a little bit with them. Silly me. So soon I figure out that the net was meant to go on first. That was a drop in a half. I had to undo every single spring, feed it back through, and yeah, it was a nightmare. So just finishing off the poles, screwing down all the yellow knobs on top, which I should have done last, fortunately. I think I did one of the covers first, and then I turned the camera off, finished them all, and made it so it was, you know, time-lapsed quickly. So it's been a fun experience. I recommend giving it a go. Nothing to lose, a bit of fun. The pole's bolted on by like a loop system, so a loop goes around it and then it screws through, like a bolt and a nut. I just tech screwed them up. Use a rattle gun, made it real quick, so yeah, made it a lot easier. So here we are putting all the rest of the poles up. In the end, I just went around, lined them up, got them where they needed to be, and then went back around and tightened them all up. Yeah, it got dark really quick. Seemed to be doing a lot more work at night time than during the day, so it was definitely an experience trying to see everything in the dark. So this is where I figured out that I had to put the net on first. So I literally had to pull everything back off and go around and do every single spring. It was a nightmare. I wish I'd followed the instructions probably, but I looked at the top of it and didn't look down further. So yes, hopefully in the future I won't make that mistake. So this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you next time.